and today we have our third alumni webisode. Today the topic is business. We have Tony Holesworth. Say hi, Tony.
Hello.
And he is a student associate for the New York Knicks. And later, in a few minutes, we'll have Jon Tam joining us, who graduated from Pepperdine and is a world traveler and works in business. So everyone's going to introduce themselves first in the Google Hangout.
Cool.
Okay, Ashton, you want to go first?
Sure. My name is Ashton. I'm from New York, and I'm interested in business.
Awesome. Next group of people.
Okay, hello. My name is Isabel. I live in New York and Florida, and I'm interested in athletic training.
I'm Julian Rivera. I live here, and I'm interested in personal.
Hi, I'm Jeanette, and I'm from Taiwan. I'm not sure what field I'm interested in. That's why I'm here, to learn about the ones.
That's great.
Okay, you want to go next?
Okay.
Hey, my name is Quentin, and I'm from Florida, and I'm interested in sports.
Yeah, you are.
Hi, I'm JJ Gonzalez, and I'm interested in sports management, business, and law.
Cool.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Meher. I'm interested in education. I'm also interested in business. And I will be doing the chat with Hannah today.
Yeah, and Meher is actually taking over for me, so this is her first webisode, and then she'll be taking them on from here.
Yeah.
So Tony, tell us a little more about yourself and how you got where you are today.
Okay. Hold on, really quickly. Sorry, I had to respond to John. And before we start, out of curiosity, how long does this go, and what's the format, kind of?
It's about 20 to 25 minutes, and we'll ask you a few questions, and you can respond, and then the students will ask questions.
Perfect. Okay, great. So I graduated from Delphi in 2009. I went to Seton Hall University. I wanted to be a sports agent since I was about 16. I was on 47. And so I wanted to study sport management. I wanted to go to a school that would help get me in a good position to at least poise myself for a career in agency. So I went to Seton Hall, and I worked, while I was there, I worked for the soccer team, and then I worked in athletic marketing, and then I worked for ESPN. I interned, and then I interned for the Knicks, just to get my feet wet in every way in sports while I was undergrad. And it was all internships, and then I decided to go to law school to get some legal background, legal expertise, and then the Knicks offered me a job as a part-time employee in development, and I kind of ran with it. So I work with them part-time, and I go to law school full-time. Yeah, that's pretty much my story.
Wow. And how did you get your internships?
You apply. I mean, I've had 2 big internships with the Knicks and ESPN, but I've been rejected. And don't be discouraged by the statistic, but I've probably been rejected 18 or 19 places. Because that's just the reality. There are so many people applying, especially out here. So many people applying. It's very competitive, and you don't always know what the company's needs are, how many interns they take compared to how many people are applying. I know ESPN had like 400 applicants for 10 spots, and I got really lucky in that respect. But sometimes they only want 1 or 2 people, and it turns out to be someone's son and nephew that get the gig, and or that's something, they take a guy from Harvard. All sorts of things that can happen. But you just got to apply. You apply broadly, and hit the mark sometimes.
Yeah. Do you ever apply to the same internship twice if you get rejected?
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing. I have internships I've applied to a few times actually, and not gotten. But you just keep knocking on the door because you can answer if you don't knock. You know.
Yeah. And how do you think your Delphi education prepared you for all of this?
I love that question. I know people ask that a lot at the alumni seminars on alumni weekend, but I could explain that a million different ways. I mean, literally every aspect, even things I didn't think would help, helped. Like algebra, you actually like kind of use math and algebra all the time. But I think the two biggest things are just the communication skills and the writing skills. Writing is big. You're never going to stop writing. You're never going to get a break. I wrote, I think, between 30 and 40 papers in college, from various sizes, from like 2 pages to 15 pages, you know. So you never stop writing, and you'd be surprised. I mean, obviously, you get a good base of writing, really phenomenal foundation you get at Delphi in terms of writing ability, and then being able to like sit and hold a conversation like an adult. You'd be surprised how many grown-up, aged people can't do that. They're fidgety and they get nervous and weird and have all kinds of problems communicating. So that was probably the most directly applicable Delphi skill that I used elsewhere.
That's awesome. What about like the practical side, like the projects you did here?
Yeah, it was cool. Well, I mean, so when I was going through upper school, it wasn't, the focus on practical is not the same as it is now. It still existed and all that, but they've really cranked it up in the past few years.
Yeah, they have.
Awesome. I mean, with the looking to the future and all that, it's great. But one thing I did, I initially wanted to be a coach when I was like 13, 14, 15. And so I had an internship when I was at Delphi with the Linfield women's basketball coach. And I went a couple times to practice, shadowed, and kind of went into that. And by doing that, I was able to realize, like, well, it's not really something I want to do.
Yeah.
And not that it's all the same. Like, you know, the Linfield women's coach's job is not the same as Mike Krzyzewski's job at coaching the Duke men's team. But it was cool. I got to like take a glimpse of what it was like and realize it wasn't quite how I wanted to work in sports, and so that was really valuable. But yeah.
Did you ever want to be a part of the team, like be a sports player?
Well, of course. I mean, everybody wants to do that. Yeah, I wanted to, but I kind of stopped growing at like age 14 and realized I probably wasn't going to hear my name called in the NBA draft, and kind of threw in the towel on that one.
Okay, cool. Well, now I'm going to pass it over to Meher, and she's going to ask the rest of the questions.
Great.
Hi. So if you could like relive your Delphi education or your Delphi experience, what would you change?
Well, I would have hit the gym and been a little better at sports. Well, of course. I mean, everybody wants to do that. Yeah, I wanted to, but wait, I hear myself growing at like age 14 and realized I probably wasn't going to hear my name called in the NBA. I'm hearing. Draft. Hold on a second. Let's see. Threw in the towel. Do you hear that?
Yeah, I hear that.
I hear like a playback of my voice right now. That's weird.
I'm going to pass it over to Meher, and she's going to ask the rest of the questions.
Great.
Hi. So if you could like relive your Delphi education or your Delphi experience, what would you choose?
Well, I would have hit the gym and been a little better at sports. Of course. I mean, everybody wants to do that. Yeah, I wanted to, but wait, I hear myself growing at like age 14 and realized I probably wasn't going to hear my name called in the NBA.
Do you Google Hangouts open? No? Okay. I think we're good now. Oh, Anthony left. Tony left. Everyone only has one window open, right? Yeah? Okay, cool. So we'll just wait a few minutes while Tony's working out technical difficulties. Can everyone hear okay? During the... Okay, cool. So? So, do you guys want to start off with some feedback of what you think he's been saying, like your opinions on it, while we wait for him? You can unmute yourselves.
Oh. Where is he? Oh.
Okay, hello. That was weird.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Did everyone? It was like playing back.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Okay. Anyway, sorry. So what would I change? Are we good? Everyone's good to go still?
Yeah.
Okay, that was strange. So, what I would really change, I guess, you know, I had a period. I mean, I was in upper school for 5 years, and I had a period of time where I just kind of took a lot for granted, where I didn't quite understand, you know, that I didn't quite believe, I guess, that a lot of things were going to be directly applicable to real life. So, I mean, if I could go back with the perspective I have now, I would have just given it 100%, 100% of the time. You know, I finished strong, but I had periods where I was just kind of wishy-washy. You know, I wasn't sure if, like, what I was reading about history was relevant or was going to help set the table for whatever my future studies and experience. And I'm not joking when I tell you that it all comes out, it all comes through later on down the road. I mean, I sat in a law school class this semester, right, 6 years removed from Delphi, and I had a professor asking about all these crazy things about the Civil War, and I because I didn't really like focus that much in paying attention in history and getting all that down, I didn't really assign a strong purpose to it. I was kind of lost some of the details that I learned at Delphi, but never fully like assimilated into my mind. So really, just cash in, believe in it. Believe you got to believe that the program is perfectly tailored, because it truly is. None of it's a waste. There's no fat to be trimmed.
So I have a question. You know, when you are out there, how much do you feel that like purpose is important? Like, do you set like a large purpose for yourself before? Like, how does that purpose fit into like how you go about your career?
I would say it's everything, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, yeah, I think without purpose, life sucks. I mean, it's just not fun. But then conversely, with purpose, everything's great. Everything kind of flows, you know. Mm-hmm. And I've been on, you know, the same kind of goal, the same track since I was 16. I kind of put that out there, like, this is what I'm going for. And because I have that end goal of being a sports agent and kind of breaking into that side of the industry, it makes everything else, if not worthwhile, like manageable. The most boring of law school classes, kind of, you know, I get through it because I understand, you know, this is getting me one step closer to something I'm really into and I'm on purpose. And I mean, it makes the days fly by, and it makes everything fun. So yeah, purpose is crucial, and I strongly recommend every course you do that you take a serious look at your purpose beforehand. I mean, I know at the beginning of like check sheets or whatever, it'll tell you like, well, this is what you'll get out of this, but really take a moment to take a look for yourself and be like, well, where do I want to be after this? You know, how sharp do I want to be at algebra, or what kind of conversations do I want to be able to communicate effectively in, and do I, you know, like really take a minute to look at your purpose behind everything you do, because it makes it all fun and you get a lot out of it.
Right. Awesome. Thank you. We're going to move on to the next question. So what advice would you give to a senior at Delphi on like what they should do next?
So at what point? You mean like, well, so they're starting senior year and they don't know yet if they're going to go to college or something?
Yeah, like right after Delphi, what would you say what they should do to like gear up for their future?
Yeah, okay. Well, one thing is, so the age thing can be kind of weird. I know like some people graduate at like 16. I know Savannah graduated at 16 last year. Others graduate at 19 and stuff. But I think when people graduate really young, like a 16 or a young 17, it may be wise to take a year off before jumping into college, because at least from a social standpoint, and not only from a social standpoint, but at least from a social standpoint, it can be weird to be super young in college. I knew a couple kids, and it's kind of strange to, I guess, graduate college and not be 21 yet, or work at an internship and be 17. And it's certain things are, it's tough to be in college under 18, basically. So it might be weird socially, but that's kind of a narrow response, I realize. So, yeah, I mean, you gotta. It's easier when you have a purpose, right? So if you have something that requires a college degree, then you just want to jump into college, and it makes a lot of sense. But that's not always going to be the case. So obviously you got to be true to yourself and move with your purposes, but be on top of it too. If you want to go to college, then be on top of it. Know when your SATs and ACTs are. If you aren't happy with the scores you've already gotten, know when your application deadlines are, and get it moving. I would say that's probably the best approach for most seniors.
Okay, awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
What were the most important things that they should focus on, like even like during the gap year? Should they still be like working on like preparation for college, or should that just be like a gap year?
That's an awesome question. I love that. Yes, college prep. College prep is huge. I mean, without getting into my long story of my transition into college, I went right away after Delphi, but it was a rude awakening in a lot of ways. And that's not to scare you. It's just that I was so used to Delphi and Oregon, right, and just like the life out there. And it was so different. I was very much on my own. I had never done a test that had multiple choice before. Things like that. Certain things about the ethics level and the interests and the lifestyle. There was so much for me to take in because I had never really looked at what is college life, right? So I had found academic programs that worked, and I found a school that was going to help be a platform for me to get where I wanted to go. But I hadn't looked at like what college life is like, what New York life is like, what any of that. I hadn't really taken a look at that. So anything you can do to raise your awareness so you're not blindsided by some kind of non-existent situation is huge. You want to be prepared as possible.
Holy shit! Am I in? Sorry for swearing.
Hey, John.
Hi, John. You're here. We can hear you. Wait, we can't hear you anymore. You muted yourself.
Hello.
There you go.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Hello.
Okay.
Hi.
I can barely hear you guys though.
Really? Well, no one's talking.
Hold on.
Yeah. Hi.
Hey, keep talking. I'll figure this out.
Okay.
All right.
So you said something about the transition from like Delphi life to college. What helped you like get ready, like to be like totally ready for college? Like what helped with your transition?
Well, I wasn't. To be honest with you, I totally wasn't. My first midterm I took in college was in an economics class, and I got an F, a big red F. And it was pretty crazy, just because I was so lost. It was just something I'd never studied before, and I was just lost. And I worked it out. I ended up with really good grades and stuff, but I was blindsided, and I had to. At first I was like thinking, oh well, Delphi must have not prepared me for college, but I was wrong. I had to dig deep. I used my study tech. I used stepped gradient technology in my calculus classes, and all my study discipline. I started studying 6 p.m. to midnight and all that, and really just dug in and used everything that I had in my tool belt when I graduated. And next thing you know, I was in a really good position. I was doing my thing.
Wow, yeah, Delphi tools are the best.
Agreed. I mean, skipped gradient's funny because when you do learning how to learn, right? Do you still do that?
Yeah. Right, yeah.
Right, wherever you learn about skipped gradients. So in terms of like page count, it's minimal, right? So it only has it seems like it's not as important because of the page distribution in the books. It's not whatever. So I never really thought about it practically until I was in college, and I was like, holy smokes, maybe this works. And I was lost in calculus. I took some pages back, found something I understood, and started working from there, and ended up with a good grade in the class. I mean, you graduate Delphi with every tool that you need, but the tricky part is learning how to apply the tools elsewhere, in a different environment.
Right.
Yeah.
And the practical really helps with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So now I'm going to ask Jon some questions. So,
Can you hear us, Jon?
I can barely hear you. Why don't you raise your hand so that I can listen into your question? Like if you have a question, raise your hand, and then I'll put my ear to my microphone, and then I'll just talk.
okay.
Cool?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Do you have a question?
yeah, I have a question.
Okay, what's up?
So how did your Delphi education prepare you for life?
Oh boy, wow. Delphi, Tony, I love how you're laughing. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah. Can hear you.
Okay. I guess right from the get-go, in college, it kind of hits you with a ton of bricks because you're kind of in a sheltered atmosphere at Delphi. You're not really used to what the real world is really throwing at you, and you kind of you're operating on a different reality point than what other kids have gone through in their high school education. So it's I don't know, it's like you have to obviously apply all 4 points of the logo to their fullest, and it might take the first week or month or and change to really get used to that. And so anyways, that from a college aspect, that's how I use Delphi for sure, for ethics and leadership, and just keep sticking to a plan and an admin scale. You guys still learn that, admin scales?
Yeah.
Yeah? All right, cool. Yeah, like when you finish Form 8, you should definitely have a plan of where you're going, or else, you'll have other exterior influences or people that might shift whatever admin scale, whatever goals and purposes you set out for yourself after you graduate. And you should definitely stick to your integrity. And obviously, if your viewpoint changes about your career, you're like, oh, hey, you know what? I learned something about this, and you know what? I'm more interested in pursuing this. Fine, that's cool. But more of just, hey, sticking to your guns and not letting other people affect that viewpoint and affect that admin scale. That's definitely from a college standpoint. From a career standpoint, it's really interesting because you get it's so fascinating because when you're in college, you're kind of in the same boat as everyone else. You're like, oh, I want to meet as many people as I can. I just want to learn, everything like that. In the workplace, you deal with so many interesting characters, good and bad, and you kind of have to just trust your knowledge and trust what you know, know what you know, and I don't know, just kind of trust what you perceive, and just not let yourself be affected by people that are trying to strong arm you in an organization or whatever, and just I don't know, just honestly, I think that the biggest advantage of having a Delphi education is being able to learn fast. That's the one thing that I was complimented on, in the first how months of starting at JP Morgan, is how well I interact with others and as a team player, but also how fast I soak in information, and that's obviously a big point. And the study of technology is huge in that regard, and also just not being satisfied, also just going the extra mile, and just knowing what finding out what's needed and wanted from a group, and then just going the extra mile to basically I'll actually tell you a story. Actually, I was telling the story at an alumni seminar. I had one of my managing directors had an intern, just a summer intern. She just wanted some experience on her resume, between junior and senior year of college. And the managing director asked her all he really wanted was a list of the best restaurants in New York City, right? And what she did was she basically built this massive spreadsheet that basically hyperlinked like Google Map, like Zagat, Michelin stars, like everything, like the whole nines. So basically she went like above and beyond what was expected of her. And even though it didn't really add value to, like, at the end of the day, it didn't really add value to the group, it showed the MD, like, what she's willing to do in terms of, like, producing a good, valuable, exchangeable product. You know what I mean? So it's like just one little thing. If you just jump on that, it can just show you how valuable you are to a group. That's just a little example of something that you can use to demonstrate your worth and your value. And I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, totally. Thank you. So now it's time for open questions. So we're going to go, I'm going to ask a few questions to the students, and please introduce yourself before you ask your question, okay? Cool. So we're going to start with Ashton. Ashton, why don't you introduce yourself and then ask your question.
Okay, so my name is Ashton Blows. I'm from New York. I'm interested in business and finance and working on Wall Street, kind of like John. And John, I was wondering like what it's like to work at JP Morgan. Like what do you do on a daily basis? Like what's your life like?
Cool. So basically what I do at JP Morgan is, are you in business seminar? That's the first question.
Yeah, I am in business seminar.
Okay, cool. So you're in the Mark Siegel University, basically. Do you understand like how like financial markets work and everything like that, like to a certain degree?
To a degree, I do.
Okay, cool, nice. So basically, I work in the Chief Investment Office of JP Morgan. So basically, what our group does. Are you familiar with like the org board, like the organizing board?
Yeah, I've done courses on the basics of the org board.
Okay, cool. So, like, you know, Division 7, like the executive division.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we are we're basically in corporate. So we're in Division 7. So basically, we're kind of overseeing all the lines of business of JP Morgan. So we're over investment banking, asset management, consumer retail banks, like, you know, when you have a checking account. So basically what we do is we hedge interest rate risk across all the lines of business. So basically we take all the interest rate exposure across all the lines of business, and we basically act as almost like a hedge fund. Are you familiar with a hedge fund? So basically we basically act almost as if like we're an investment management company in a more conservative, not like profit-seeking type entity. But we basically want to hedge interest rate risk so that the bank doesn't lose a lot of money like it did a couple of years ago. And obviously the landscape of Wall Street has definitely changed over the last couple of years because of the losses that occurred a couple of years ago in London. So there are a lot of regulations in place, a lot of risk management. So I basically report risk on a daily basis for the firm. And a lot of my reports go up to senior management, like basically Jamie Dimon's direct report, who's the CEO of JP Morgan. And I also oversee the credit book, and they basically trade student loan, asset-backed securities, corporate bonds, other fixed income products. So that's basically what I do, and I work with the traders and I work with market risk to make sure that all the products are everything's good and we don't lose a lot of money.
Wow, thank you. So,
and in terms of your interest, in finance, I guess the world is your oyster, really, because if you really want to learn, about finance, it's so funny because like when someone's like, hey, I really want to get into finance, it's like, all right, cool. Well, what do you want to get into? Like, there's so many things. Like, it's like going into Home Depot and being like, I want to get a tool. It's like there's so many different tools out there. It's like there's so much to learn. It's like, do you want to be a trader? Do you want to be, do you want to be in accounting? Do you want to, like, there's so many different aspects like risk management, especially in this environment, in this current environment on Wall Street. There's a lot of roles for risk management and for oversight and control. So it's whatever really suits you. And I think that the only way you can really do that is to like maybe do internships. JP Morgan hires a lot of summer interns all over. So like if you're in college and you're coming out of your sophomore year or junior year and you want to apply, you could definitely like getting an internship at one of the big 5 banks is definitely the right step to go. So yeah, absolutely. I don't know if that answers your question or not.
Thank you. So we'll have time for one more question. So we'll go with JJ. Why don't you introduce yourself and then present your question?
Hey, John. You met me playing basketball.
Yeah, did I win or what?
Oh, heck no. We destroyed you, man. Lost. We destroyed you.
You lost.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Hey. Wait, that was an off game, okay?
I was just wondering if you did any projects while you were in Delphi, and did they help you get internships or get farther ahead?
Oh man, you're taking me back now. Jeez. I'm like, I feel old now. I'm trying to remember the projects that I did. I mean, I was involved in student council. I don't know. I just did some. I wasn't an officer or anything. Sorry, I kind of slacked, when I was at Delphi, so I had to play catch up a little bit. But so I didn't have time to do that. But in terms of projects, I worked with Mark a lot in terms of business seminar, and definitely pick his brain as much as you can because he has a wealth of knowledge, and definitely take a lot of math courses outside of your requirements because I noticed that I was kind of behind a little bit in college. I needed a more solid foundation, and in retrospect, I wish I did take more trig or calc or any of those classes. Yeah, but in terms of projects, I don't really know too much. I mean, I did an internship for a hedge fund, I think in Form 6 or Form 7. That was just, I mean, honestly, I can't really say that I used that experience directly, but it was just a good foot in the door to like get some familiarity with the industry. Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, sure. And rematch next year.
Let's see.
Gone. Does anyone have a final question for Tony? Julian, I know.
Wait, Tony, were you talking about law school stuff, or were you talking about Knicks stuff?
Both.
Yeah, both.
I guess mostly Knicks stuff, or just like how I got there.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Good stuff. And definitely, hey, guys, feel free to reach out. By being in this hangout, it's actually it actually means a lot more than you think because when you're out of college and you're looking for an internship, or even if you're in college and you're looking for an internship, and after college you need a job, these type of experiences and these types of interactions will, I'll remember you guys for sure.
Mm-hmm. Great.
So definitely the biggest, I guess the biggest takeaway is reach out as much as you can. Just be very thirsty and hungry for information and connections. So.
Okay, cool. Tony, do you have any final words?
Final words. Well, that's intense. To close it out.
The Knicks are terrible this year.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're bad. I mean,
dude, I'm a season ticket holder with Sam Kretschmar. It's the worst investment.
I know the
trust
deal.
me, coming from a finance background, it's a terrible investment.
First of all, my involvement with the team's decision making is certainly minimal, and I can't really say that much about it. But it's not fun. My job's great and fun and easy when the team's doing well, and when they're not doing well, it's harder. It's less fun because my job,
actually,
for those of you who don't know, is
the Knicks are. It's so funny about New York because the Knicks, even if they're bad, it's still going to be sold out every
well, people go. There's so many tourists that want to go too. And
okay. Anyways, I don't want to digress into a sports conversation.
Yeah. Well, one thing really quickly, in terms of my job is essentially to like make people who are Knicks fans be excited about being Knicks fans, and then those who aren't supposed to bring them in and like nurture them. So it's hard to convince someone to be a Knicks fan when the team's the worst or second, or I guess the second worst team in the East. It makes things hard. But listen, final takeaway is that I want to be available to all of you and your friends and colleagues or whatever, and same goes for Jon. I mean, he offers the same thing because we care about you guys, and it's great to see our fellow Delphians just killing it. And I guess my advice is to be aggressive. Sometimes being at Delphi, being in I hate to use the term bubble because it's certainly overused, but being in that environment where you're not totally immersed in the same environments you'll be immersed in the future, I guess, you can kind of lose sight, and it's hard to see how competitive things are. So really be aggressive. If you have a 3.6 GPA, well, work harder to get a 3.7 or a 3.8. If you got a 29 or a 26 on the ACT, try to get a 30 or a 27 next time. Be aggressive. Never settle, because all that can do is open doors for you. And
also,
it is really
also to piggyback off that point, there's one thing I want to let you know that I wish I knew when I was younger. Mr. Hubbard actually is quoted by saying this: the first obstacle of learning is actually thinking that you know all there is to know. So it's like that's huge. That's so huge. Like acknowledging what you don't know is more important than actually knowing what you know to a certain degree. So like, so definitely.
Yeah. When you think you know it all, you turn off.
Don't be cocky. Don't be arrogant. You are prepared, but you don't have it yet. You're prepared, but you don't have it yet. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't want to bring everyone down there.
If they want to reach out to you, should they reach you by email or Facebook? How should they do it?
Facebook is cool for me.
Yeah, email.
Email and Facebook? Okay. Cool. Well, thank you very much. Does anyone have final words that I accidentally maybe cut off?
We're good to go. It's a pleasure. Sorry for the technical difficulties.
Oh, no. I think...
Yeah, seriously. I need to step my game up.
Good luck on the Alumni games next year. Yes.
I'm going to the dunk contest. You guys should come.
I'm dunking.
All right. See you guys. Take care.
Later.